Well, welcome to the energy meeting,
Okay.
April 17th. We're going to begin at 7:05, I believe, and we'll probably have a few more people coming in. Usually we start with a public forum if anyone is here as a guest. I think
I'm a guest.
you're a guest, but you're here to
I have
interview
nothing
too.
in particular to take up beyond my interest in serving.
Well, then we could move right into that if you're
Okay.
up for that.
Sure.
Tell us a little about why you'd like to.
You know Sally, I'm Richard.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
Richard.
Richard.
I'm sorry.
Stephen Taylor.
Yeah.
I saw all of you at the school thing.
Yes.
Which was great.
Oh, yeah.
That was wonderful.
Yeah.
Can you let the viewers know what is happening with Stephen being here?
Oh, great.
Just to make
Yes,
clear what you
right,
all know, what you don't know.
Stephen has showed interest in being a part of the Energy Committee, so he's here for an interview.
And we currently have one vacant spot.
I was on the Lincoln Energy Committee actually as the chair for a few years back in the, 10 years ago or so, before I left Lincoln. And I've been involved in energy for quite a while. Pretty much the whole decade of the 90s I was working professionally in energy efficiency. First with the weatherization program as an auditor and technical specialist. I would go into is everyone familiar with the weatherization program? It's for low-income people.
Yeah.
CVOEO?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I would be the first person to go in and identify opportunities and needs, and then write specifications for air sealing, insulation, heating system changes, ventilation work, etc. Then I worked for about 4 years for CVPS doing energy audits around state, focused on electricity. We did a lot of lighting changes. This was in residential, again, as was the weatherization. Focused on lighting, a lot of heating improvements as well, because people were heating with more electric heat at that time, straight resistance electric heat. And oddly enough, one of the things that we were directed to do by the Department of Public Service, or the Public Service Board, was to replace electric heat with whatever we could,
Right.
because we were winter peaking at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things we did was convert people from electric to fossil fuels, oddly enough. And now we're going the other direction,
Right.
fortunately.
That was just based on sheer use because of the sort of inefficiencies of that kind of electric heating.
Well,
like
it was
resistance heating.
mostly because utilities statewide were winter peaking, and it was extremely expensive for them to buy spot energy on the spot market, and those costs got passed on to ratepayers.
Yeah.
I see.
So it was important for everyone.
Who were you working for?
At that time, CVPS. Yeah.
But it was more cost, like it was more expensive, that
Oh,
kind of
it
heating,
was
right?
terribly expensive.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was very expensive.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I was in one home. It was the highest residential energy use in their system. And it wasn't because we were invited to go, it was because part of the mandate from the Public Service Board was that we had to provide energy audits to super high users.
Oh.
And the electric bill in this house was something like twice my annual salary.
Wow.
And it was a fifth or sixth home of the person who owned it. So I never met the person who happened to own a major sport team out of Boston. But anyways,
Bruins manager or something.
owner,
Okay.
not Bruins, but
Yeah.
Wow.
anyways, it was interesting. I met and worked with lots of different types of people in that role. The full spectrum of economic ability, whereas in the weatherization program, it was just low income.
So you did Lincoln. So what's your interest of getting back into it? What was you said you were on the Lincoln board for a little bit.
Yeah. I've been pretty inspired recently by Greta Thunberg and her ability to convey a moral imperative and get people's attention. I think it's really encouraging and exciting. And I'm one of the people who has one of the many who has been kind of shocked into taking action, I guess. Or not shocked, but just inspired to get involved and to start thinking about things differently. I live pretty efficiently myself. I heat with wood with a very efficient wood stove, and I cut my own wood, and I use about 150 kilowatt hours a month or something like that. But there's still a lot that I can do, and I know that we need to engage other people in taking action as well. It's really about taking action, and so I'd like to be part of that.
Do you have a kid at the school?
I did.
Is that
he's
why you were
graduated.
there? Or, oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, at that school, no.
Yeah.
My son is graduated from high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just saw the invitation?
I saw the invitation
Yeah.
by email. Yeah.
It was pretty inspiring.
It was
wasn't it?
wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. I was really excited.
Yeah.
After I did the work with CVPS, I then was hired to run the statewide school energy management program for the Superintendents Association. So I worked out of Montpelier for that, and did that for a couple of years.
Hi, John. This is Stephen Taylor. He's
Hi,
here.
John.
Pleasure, John.
Yeah, nice to meet you. So, and then my work went in a different direction. I actually got a grant to do some research on the energy usage of kiln drying for lumber, that is, which is pretty intensive. And I did a project for Vermont Family Forest because they were interested in identifying energy efficient ways to dry lumber. And I traveled around and studied a number of solar kilns, and ultimately gave a presentation. Hello,
Liston,
I'm
Stephen Taylor.
Nice to meet you.
Liston Freeman.
I gave a presentation over at Shelburne Farms on what I had learned, and was hired to design and build a solar kiln up in Westford. So I did that, and then I built a couple more as well around the area. And that sort of led into doing more forestry related work, and sort of led me away from energy efficiency for a while. So now I'm wanting to get back to it. Yeah. And when I was with the Lincoln Energy Committee, some of the things we did, I know we did button-up workshops several times. We did, I did an energy audit at the town clerk's office before it was rebuilt, and we did some insulation and air sealing work there. I don't remember what else we did, but those are some of the things. So.
It's quite a good
Thank
list.
you, yeah. It's
Yeah.
got a nice list.
It's terrific.
Do you live in Bristol now?
Yeah,
Okay.
I live out on Mountain Street. Yeah.
Mountain Street, huh?
Mm-hmm. Across from Pleasant Hills.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live at the corner
Of
Eastern Mountain.
Oh, okay.
House with a picket fence.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think I saw your the blurb on the Energy Committee website about your project.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
ongoing.
impressive.
Ongoing.
Yeah.
I think we're going to install a second heat pump and
Yeah.
kill off the oil burner,
Uh-huh.
pretty much.
Wow, good for
Yeah.
you. Yeah, I'm looking at that as well. Yeah.
So, have you been aware at all of what we've been doing in the last year or so?
I just took a look at the website at the minutes for your last meeting, and I know So not a lot. No, I don't know a lot.
We've been involved in the Button Up program.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the agenda items now is having to do with the fact that I think we were so successful at getting people to sign up that maybe one of the contractors got overloaded.
Huh.
We have 48 people?
Right.
Yeah, 48, and way more than any other town of this size. So,
Yeah, that's right.
but and we've been trying to raise the issue of weatherization and energy savings, but I think all of us feel we have a lot more to do.
Uh-huh.
And I really like what you were saying about needing to engage people.
Yeah. It's really impressive what the young people are able to
Yeah.
do, and that's why I was pleased to see that there's some conversation at least about how to engage kids over at the high school. I think that'd be wonderful.
Yeah,
And I'd be quite interested in helping out on that.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the committee, it was started in 2006, I think. So it's been going for a while. It's changed. A lot of people had turnover over the years. And then for the last year, that's when we've been the most active. Before that, for a couple of years, it sort of stalled.
Yeah.
People had left, and it was hard to get momentum back.
Yeah. When I first moved to Bristol, I wanted to inquire, and I sent an email, and I never got a response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I saw that too. I sort of looked in the town report and saw that, it was just the same report from the previous year. I wonder if anybody is doing anything.
Uh-huh.
And they've done a lot of interesting projects. The biggest one was converting all the lighting in the town to LED. That was one of the main projects that they had focused on.
Uh-huh.
And they were trying to do other projects like community solar, things like that. But I think in the last year with new members, like Liston and John and Richard and Sally, like everybody, apart from Mike, who's not here tonight, he's the long stay. We sort of got back together. Obviously there were issues with the gas project. That was a big sort of, moving or factor in sort of people getting interested in the committee again.
Mhm.
But then sort of realizing that there were so many other things going on as well.
Yeah.
And then we got involved in Button Up and became sort of a Button Up hero, a project sort of leader for that to engage as many people around here as possible. And then we've sort of done other kind of smaller things.
How did the button-up work? You did a town-wide a workshop in one place, and
Correct.
then people signed up for audits, or
Yes.
or what?
Yeah, it was successful, like 38 or 48, close to 40, I think, people had signed up with 2 different contractors. And what Richard talked about was one of the contractors, Silver Maple, decided they are moving away and changing the direction. And so some of the people that had signed up with them are moving on to Harvester, which are based in Lincoln. I think because, like Richard said, there was just so many people wanting it. It was a free audit, so it was kind of like this Efficiency Vermont. We're sort of testing it out and seeing how
So the audits were underwritten by or paid for by Efficiency Vermont?
Mhm.
Kind of, yeah. It was.
I'm not sure if they were complete
No, I don't think
audits,
they were paid.
They weren't
No.
complete
They
audits.
were
but
paid.
they got to walk through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was more of a walkthrough, not
It was a
walkthrough.
walkthrough.
I was wondering,
Yeah.
because a comprehensive audit is
Yeah.
a
Yes.
lot. It's,
Yeah.
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 But it was just the time that took, and the amount of people that sort of got interested here. And then the idea was that it would lead hopefully to work for those contractors. I think some of it has, maybe
Yeah.
not as much as we'd hoped, but I think that's at least we sort of have that information now and have gone through that process, and we can hopefully tweak it and work with them, the next time around, and continue to work with Efficiency Vermont on their different projects.
right.
So yeah, we've been involved in that, and then we've been working on the electric vehicle charging program grant, which we're going to apply for the second round, and I'll talk about that later on.
Was the first round application not successful, or?
It was a combination of factors that sort of led to not being able to meet the deadline.
Oh, I see.
So, and it was, part of it was sort of, one of the reasons was we wanted to wait and just see how it was received for that first round, and what entities got it, if it was more towns or more companies and things like that. So it was nice to have that information. Part of it was just the complexity of the application. You know, it was a
Yeah.
many page document and had lots of things that had to be very particular to the project, and
Yeah.
so it was sort of, I've been working on that myself, and also just like figuring out placement in town and what would be, hopefully what would be acceptable to the select board, since they had to approve the application,
Yeah.
because of sort of limitations with where things can be put in town.
Yeah.
But it all, for the second round, it was all sort of came together, or it is coming together.
Good.
So, yeah.
A little bit about history too. You know, after the first, I brought this thing on history in case we wanted to learn about what was going on in the past. But once 2014 wrapped up, the committee pulled together a group of people that were some on the committee and some town people, and they created a plan for going forward. And it was very, you know, I mean, yeah, that's it, the goals and strategies, right, thank you. And it's pretty,
Take a peek.
Have a look.
Dense.
yeah, dense and impressive and overwhelming. And I think that is what happened, is then they all just sort of like, whoa.
How can we do that?
is- And it just sort of faded away. So there's some good information in there, and I wasn't gonna bring it because I thought it'd be overwhelming, and we have so much on our agenda, so, but I think it's good to take a peek at it. But I think we'll take a look at it, you know, in a bigger way at another time where we really
Yeah.
decide what we might wanna do and stuff like that.
Now, did I hear you say you did energy audit
Yeah. For about 6 years.
for,
First for the weatherization program, and then for CVPS, doing residential audits focused on electricity. With weatherization, it was all sources of energy, so heating systems and
yeah,
electricity.
I worked for them back in the 90s.
Oh, did you? Huh. Yeah.
And whom did you work with doing the audits?
Whom did I work with?
Yeah.
I did the audits on my own. I was the auditor for out of Middlebury for Addison County,
Really?
and it was CVOEO, so there were 2 other offices, one in Burlington and one in St. Albans,
Right.
and we got a lot of training. We got a lot of support and training when we were.
Is that working with Dwight DeCoster?
Who was that?
Dwight DeCoster?
I don't remember that name.
CVOEO?
No, it was Ken Toinaka when I was
Yeah, he's
there.
new.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It was Ken Toinaka who hired me.
Oh, so that was a while ago.
Yeah. Yeah, see that
That
gray
was
hair?
before me.
Really? Before you?
Yeah, it was Scott Campbell was my boss.
Oh yeah, then Scott took over.
Right. Ken
after-
Toinaka.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a great guy.
Yeah.
So have you ever done any of the actual work, like crawling
Oh my
around,
gosh, yes.
wallowing in the human
Oh
condition?
yeah. Oh yes. Yes, I have a good idea about that. Yeah, good sense of it. It's hard work. It's hard work.
Yeah.
You willing to do it again?
Didn't know that was a part of the job.
Is that on the job? Do you guys do that too? Yeah.
Not yet, but it listens to them try to get us.
I'm trying to drag us in that direction.
I am not opposed at all to doing that work. It needs to get done, and to the extent that I have time and energy,
Yeah.
I'm definitely willing to do it.
I think it would be similar to what you've did in Lincoln. We're sort of looking at municipal buildings, since we have sort of more control
Yeah.
over that initially, and also trying to sort of
Yeah, I like to,
lessen the load of electricity usage and other fuel usage
Yeah.
for the town.
to the extent that I could help out to support those people who signed up for button-up walkthroughs, to think it through and prioritize and to strategize on how to take action. I would be happy to do that.
I think a lot of those people have had some pretty good counseling or whatever you call
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But there might be a few people who fell through the cracks during that.
Okay.
A lot of them got moved to Harvest Star, and I mean,
Okay.
instead of Silver Maple, Harvest Star's taking theirs. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
it'd be great to have another person
Yeah.
on board to talk to people.
Right.
Yeah.
And also in just next rounds of
Oh yeah.
what Efficiency Vermont might do
Right.
for the button-up program. If we had people that were on our committee that could do that, you know, it's sort of, we'd have to sort of gauge how much work is involved,
Yeah.
since we know it's been quite heavy for those two companies, for the two contractors. But yeah, that would be nice.
Does anyone have more questions for Stephen or Stephen for?
I'm curious about the ideas to engage the school. It looks like John and Richard have been
Yeah, we
thinking about that.
tried talking with one of the science teachers at Mount Abe, who next year will be teaching a full-blown climate change curriculum.
Oh, great.
Excellent.
Great conversation, but absolutely no buy-in.
By who? By the school?
Well, if
Carolyn?
you don't get a teacher involved, you're not going to get the students really involved. I put something in the Front Porch Forum as well, kind of appealing to young people to talk to us about
Yeah.
your understanding of climate change, how you believe it's going to affect your life.
Yeah.
No responses whatsoever. So it's, I would say it's more than the school, or I would say, I can't say more than the school would want to take on, but students are kind of getting ready for final exams and graduating
At this time, right?
at this time.
Yeah. It sounds like it's a conversation that would need to continue over time
I think it's going
until
to.
it's going to
yeah.
evolve into something.
Yeah.
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 We've got a little bit of an in with Dane in the middle school.
Mm-hmm.
I've been feeding him stuff. I gave him a hydrogen-powered car that he can use with his kids, just trying to give him resources,
Mm-hmm.
and he's been very receptive to that. So I think it's going to be a case of we just have to kind of build trust,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mhm.
I've done a lot of work with schools in my career, and I agree with John. If you don't have an advocate on the faculty, forget about it. So we have to
Right.
find that advocate.
Right.
I think we can.
Yeah. I had a couple of, not random, but ideas related to that that I'd like to just mention. One is, well, first I'm curious, did any of the kids at the high school do the school strike for climate, or?
Yeah.
They did?
Yeah, they did.
Okay. Is that ongoing, or?
I don't know.
Well,
they
that's
did.
encouraging.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to engage some of them in conversation.
Yes.
So one of my ideas was to get to the idea of someone from the school, some kid in the community being part of or ancillary to this committee.
Yeah, we've talked
Yeah,
about
definitely.
that. So
That'd be
And,
great.
we agree.
They have a student activism club.
The Environmental Action Group.
Club, because I've been to one of their meetings.
Yeah.
And they, I'm sure, were the ones, if they were going on strike,
Yeah.
would probably be.
Right, NASA.
Well, those are two different groups, but they both might have interest. Yeah. One's the Environmental Action Group, EAG, and the other is MASA,
Right.
Mount Abe Student Activists, I think it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other idea was, I was thinking about how graduation's coming up, and some students get awards for various things that they do. And I wondered about whether an award could be gotten together for people to engage in, for students to engage with the community on energy-related projects for climate change.
Nice.
That might be 2020.
Yeah, it wouldn't be for this
Wouldn't be
year.
for this year.
Not for this year,
I
but
think
for
so.
next year.
Yeah, I think it's a good
I'd
idea.
put
Excellent
a
idea.
nice award out there
Yeah.
and make it known that it's available, and then invite someone in to work with the committee. I think it could be really powerful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, if you come directly from us.
Yep.
We
So keep
can.
those ideas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotta find the right bait.
Yeah.
Maybe a Tesla.
A Tesla 3.
Yeah.
New generation.
That would, yeah.
For the
Or
graduate.
a cold climate heat pump.
Yeah. Yeah. For a kid, I don't know if that would.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Electric
How
motorcycle.
many shop lights we got?
Yeah.
Electric
Electric
bike.
bike, yeah.
Electric bike,
motorcycle.
yeah,
That would
that'd
be
be
Now
awesome.
we're talking.
0 to 60 in 2 seconds.
One of those dangerous things.
I want one bad.
Electric bike is a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might, see if we can do that. So we probably ought to move on. So-
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's move
okay,
on.
thanks.
That's great.
One thing before we move on.
Sure.
So, this is sort of an informal interview. You will need to interview before the select board, and we can, Sally can work and put you
If
on.
I've passed this step. Okay.
Right. The
Fine.
select board generally, they've tended in the past, people have submitted application and then interview directly with them. I'm trying to do it where people actually visit the
Yep.
board that they're interested in and sit
Good
in
idea.
and talk to
Yeah.
that committee. I think that's a better way to do it. And so, but you still have to, it's sort of like a double process. We try to make this very informal because we're just interested, but I think they'll look at it and based on our recommendation, you'll sit in front of them and give your reasons in a few good sound bites. And then they usually, they can either do it then or they go into executive session to make a decision. And
Yeah, I
as
think
the
it-
chair, Sally can be invited in and discuss and give her recommendations why, for and against, or whatever. So
Yeah,
just
yeah.
so you know.
It sounds familiar. I think I remember that from when I went on the Lincoln.
Yeah,
Energy
it's just so
committees.
everyone, the select board knows what's sort of happening with the committees. I think it's
Sure.
good practice.
Yeah.
Just so you know that
No, that's perfect.
there'll be another sit down in front of a board. So
So Stephen will have to get an application from the town
Yes,
to do
and
that.
he can talk to
And
Valerie.
I think they have them right
Yeah.
out here.
Oh,
Just
Have you
fill it
seen
out.
those?
No.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
get.
I forgot
Let's
about
get
that. I
one.
forgot about that whole part.
Okay.
yeah, we can't just sneak you on.
No,
we
that's
probably
fine.
could.
No, I didn't expect that you would or could, but so that's fine.
And you're welcome to stay.
Oh, I would like to.
That's
Yes.
great, yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna be talking about the Green Up Day Expo and see if it's really gonna be an expo or it's gonna be a mini. We'll have to see.
A mini bow. Mini bow.
Expo for
Well, the plan is 10 to 2, have activities going on for 4 hours after people come back with their bags of trash, after picking trash, for them and for whoever else wants to just come down to the green. And then there's, a variety of things planned, but we'll see where we're at with that when we talk around the table and find out what's been confirmed, what we think is really possible at this point, and then go from there. Some of the things that have been suggested are,
Made that
Sun
lovely.
Common and a bouncy house for kids, and those bigger things. We'll find out. I don't know what you've heard or what we've heard, but we can all say what we
tell you
want.
if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Um,
We might want to let the secretary get back here. Or we can tell him what we said, but.
Well, we're confirmed with the Keep Bristol Beautiful group, which are working on, it's part of the Democratic, Bristol Democratic Committee.
That's the
They're-
plastic bag ban.
Correct. They want a table. And so they're working with students at Mount Abe, as well as members of the Democratic Committee through Linda Andrews. So they want a table. I reached out to the Watershed Center, Scott Hamshaw, as well as Human Power Parade, Melanie Kessler. I haven't heard back. I emailed them on April 4th.
So neither of them.
Neither of them I've heard back, but I can follow up. The Human Power Parade is the next weekend, so
Yeah.
they may not want to be, they might be just flat out doing
Yeah.
that. I reached out to Jerry Slager for his electric bikes. He has a couple of those, and it's sort of, it's a normal bike and you have a little add-on to it.
Yeah, familiar with it, yeah.
So I reached out to him, he's very interested, he's happy to come down and talk
Great.
about it.
Well, yeah, great. With a bike?
Yep, with one or two bikes. And all his contact information is in the spreadsheet I put together. And then as terms of Sun Common, talked to Molly, this Luca, and spoke with her on the phone. And so
Did
they
you say Molly? Miss Luca, you said?
Molly
Oh,
Bisluka
Bisluka, okay.
is her last name, and this is all in the
Yeah.
Google sheet. Talked to her, and so they're confirmed for the event. They're gonna work and bring the bouncy house that's available.
Oh, they are doing it. Great.
Yeah. And they can also do some electric vehicles. They have a bunch, I think they have 7 in their fleet, and they could maybe get like a Volt and a Bolt. And possibly, they have a BMW, possibly a BMW, they're not sure yet. So at least a couple of electric vehicles. I was thinking we should also ask around town, and I think Maggie Eaton has a Tesla, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we could talk to Maggie and ask her if she would want to be a part of that.
I have to ask Ron, I think.
And then anybody else? Does anyone else know anyone in town? I wanted to get like the idea in my head was like a fleet of cars there that were just all different, just to sort of see the variety of cars you can get. And I know people have electric cars in Bristol. We just have to reach out to them and say, hey, would you want to come down on this day and be part of this? And I'm sure they would.
Yeah. So to
Maybe
have their
put out-
electric vehicle be there, but not necessarily be test driven.
Correct.
Yeah.
Just to sort of
so
talk
people
about
can
it.
see
Yeah.
and talk about it.
Yeah,
right.
and if we could ask them about like if people are interested in you driving around, would you be willing to do that? I think with Sun Common that's probably a yes since it's their vehicles. With privately owned it may be a little bit more difficult, but we could ask them
Yeah.
and see. Maybe with Maggie's Tesla, maybe not. So that's on for that, and then they're currently raffling off an electric bike. Sun Common is for some event that they're doing, so they might be able to bring that down. You won't be able to ride it around, at least you can see it. And then they'll bring sort of a solar panel setup and potentially the power wall, just the external case of a power wall to sort of see, because they do those offerings too. So that's where we're at with them. And then I said, anybody in addition that you can bring down, and they were interested in maybe talking to Be the Change, which they had worked with when they did the little pop-up in town, to bring them in as well.
So pollinators and
Correct.
that whole thing.
Yeah,
Along
and that
with-
fits in with a lot of the other things
Yeah.
we have there as well.
Definitely.
So I have her email is in there, and so as I said in my email to folks, I need to step back a little bit just because Poke Rock Rocks is coming. So I'll put all the details in that spreadsheet, and then you
Yeah.
can sort of figure out who's going to contact and follow up on
Yeah,
those.
that's great. So these details aren't in there yet, right? Because I looked at it today, and I
Correct.
didn't see
They're not in
a
there,
lot in there.
yeah.
Okay, I'm so glad, because when I looked at it today, I'm like, wow, that's why I was saying, geez, maybe we're just gonna do like
Yeah.
a
No, we're good.
9:30 to
Yeah.
11 event.
No, I think we're good.
Okay, that's fabulous, I'm glad to
Does
hear
this
it.
get, is this gonna be publicized or?
Well,
so
that's
people
a
will know?
great
Yes.
idea.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No,
Did I
no,
just sign up for that?
yeah,
Would you like to?
yeah, how are we gonna, I know this
We're
is,
about 2.5 weeks away from it.
So
I think-
certainly front porch.
Now would
Yeah,
be the
front
time
porch.
to start doing
Correct.
something.
yeah, I think we should do it.
Yeah.
Here- Since we're talking about this, even though it's, oh, it is right there, yeah. I talked to a few people, and one of the ideas was have people bring their e-tools, like an electric lawnmower or a chainsaw
That's a
or
good idea.
trimmers, and just show
Yeah,
people
yeah.
what's possible.
I have an electric one, I mean a
Yeah.
battery electric.
Yeah, I have one of those.
I have another idea
Right.
too, relating to E-less implements, and namely bicycles. I'm a cyclist. I love working on bikes. I have lots of bike tools and a stand. Would you be interested in having somebody there with a stand to just do
Yeah,
basic
That'd be
tune-ups?
cool.
Totally.
Yeah.
Bike tune-up?
That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be doing a rain barrel workshop at the same
Oh,
time, so.
okay. I'll plan to bring my bag of tricks.
That's great.
You're really endearing yourself to us.
I know, really. Definitely. Where have you been?
I haven't done a lot of volunteering over the last year.
Well, I'm so glad you're
It's just
starting here.
coming out.
That's great.
There is a danger in that.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
I'm feeling it right
So
now.
be careful.
And we'll take advantage.
Everybody will.
Okay, so I'll put it down bike tune-up station. That would be great. And we actually have, this is off topic, but the Grand Fondo and Todd Warnock, who's running it this year, this is at the Bristol Core meeting, he said the Grand Fondo has a bike tune-up station. It's the kind you install and have it there. They actually have one for Bristol.
Oh,
And we looked at it like a couple of years ago, and it never went anywhere because of, I can't remember the reasons. But that's something we should talk about, because that might be a good thing for the Energy Committee to sort of look at and just figure out where we might want to
Meaning,
put
that,
that.
what does that mean? They have a station for Bristol? What does
It's
that mean?
our timer's up. I'm gonna add some more minutes. It's a standalone that you would pour and bolt in place, and it's designed to be outside and you can use year round. And it has tools attached to it. You can put your bike on.
cool.
So it's like you
Yes.
bike into town and like, hey, look, Bristol has a station. It's right there. It's readily available.
That's a
It has the
great
tools.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And so we looked at that, and I think it was again like, where do we put it? It's got to be on
Right.
municipal land, blah blah blah.
Right.
You have to take it
And,
straight
and I think there was a certain cost involved because it's pretty expensive. But when Todd came in and talked about the Fondo at the last meeting, he was like, "Oh, I've got it in my garage. Can I get
Oh
it out of
my
my garage?"
gosh.
And I was like, "This is great."
Gee,
That's
That's
a project.
fantastic.
Yeah, so we
That
need to
is a project.
figure out where to put that. Let's add that to our
Yeah.
other list of projects. But Core can work
But
on that,
meanwhile, I can just bring my
too. Yes, that's great.
portable stuff.
Yeah.
Put it right next to the EV charger.
That's not
Yeah,
that's not
really.
there yet.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna get that mock-up. Can you put that
Yeah,
in
put
there?
the bike in there.
That's what it's gonna look like.
That is exciting.
It's not there yet.
So that's a
Does the Grand
donation?
Fondo start
Correct.
in Bristol?
Wow.
Ian, is it sort of starting in Bristol, and then I know everyone's gonna go over the Lincoln Gap, that's what they're gonna go for,
The Fonda?
the Fondo. 'cause-
Yes. It starts in Bristol at the rec field.
And then they've got all these mountains
Right.
they're gonna
And then they come back to Bristol.
Yeah.
When is that?
That
End of
is
End of June?
Yep.
yeah, it's
Cool.
when is that?
My son's, Stephen, if you're around, Quincy's coming up.
He's gonna do
down
it?
in Boston now, he's gonna come up and do that, he's into biking.
Yeah, cool. Nice.
29th of June.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get back to
Yeah, May 4th, Green Up. So a couple of, well, I guess I've got that on the chart there. Almost Home said they'd be willing to,
Yeah.
as long as it doesn't rain. If it rains, they say just send people over to Almost
Yeah.
Home. And also Juice Amore.
yeah.
What is it?
Juice Amore, a sherry banister. It's different juices that are fresh squeezed vegetable and fruit, and then different foods. And I don't know what she's going to choose. I don't think she's going to bring everything. She's just going to think of something and bring it to the table to offer those for people to buy,
Wow.
and maybe tasters too. I talked with Tandem. They say they already have an event happening at Tandem that day, so I don't know how the timing will. It might not jive, but
Okay.
I'll still look for some more food possibilities. Jill Capel said that her farm will have a person come over with plants, I think, to sell.
Oh,
And,
okay.
you know, people could sign up for their CSA, that
Yeah.
kind of thing, so New Leaf Farm will be there.
I'll add that into the this thing here.
Okay.
Sounds like an expo to me.
Yeah, it
That's
is,
good.
it is, it is becoming, I'm
Yeah.
so psyched that it really is happening,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is there anything else we need in for there? So what have we got so far? So we've got Sun Common, which is like a big chunk. They'll have a table, they'll have stuff, they'll have the cars, they'll have the bouncy house. We've got our table for Conservation Commission in terms of with Carolyn Dash, she's handing out bags. We've got Jerry with his electric bikes. We've got a table, which is the Keep Bristol Beautiful group. We've got our bike tune-up station. We've got some food from Almost Home, hopefully. We've got some drinks from Juice Amore. We've got another table of New Leaf Organics for plants and things like that. We have the water.
Rain Barrel,
Rain
Rain
barrel.
barrels.
It's got rain barrels
Yeah.
and milkweed plants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that at the same station?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's part of the Conservation
Okay.
Commission.
and Bike Repair.
But the conservation they'll have, I mean, I guess the Green Up Day table, I should say, and then rain barrels, milkweed at conservation table.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we're gonna have a table.
Okay, yeah, BEC, we'll have a table, and also, if I get items from the recycling, you know, Addison County Solid Waste Management.
Yeah.
They said they'd be glad to give me some materials, so.
We have some. Maybe that's in my garage because it said that they
Oh,
gave
right,
us.
we do have some of those.
Yeah.
Great.
So I'll get that to you. So Conservation Commission.
And then a
sent out
bike repair.
And then we've
Or
got
tuna.
the BEC, BEC table. Any other tables? Is Bristol Core one on a table? Probably. Maybe Bristol Core is on a table as well.
This is gonna be a party.
Yeah.
Music.
Okay, so I spoke with a woman today who Rick Savalas put me in touch with. She has some young people in her family, or I mean not little kids, but young traditions, fiddlers and stuff, and Rick says they're great and they might be available. She wanted to know exactly what the timing would be. She thought they might have things in the afternoon, but maybe we could get them for the morning part.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility.
Are they cheap?
I don't know. They didn't say a thing. I mentioned that Core would be able to do something.
Mhm.
What do you think you'd be able to do? Because I am going to call her tomorrow. She needs to know soon.
I don't know. Well,
Depends on how many of us there are.
Right. What do you want? Because I can do like Bristol Bucks. That would be a
Bristol
thing.
Bucks.
Bristol Bucks.
From Cornwall.
Whoops.
But it means you can spend them in Bristol, though. I mean, they're there.
Right. Okay.
Good, go ahead.
I don't have Cornwall bucks. I'm sorry. But that's what I was thinking, just because that's
Okay.
usually what we've done
I didn't realize
as
that's
a,
what you
as,
were
as a
talking about.
donation.
Yeah. Okay.
Because in here in town, it's essentially cash.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
so they could go to the Bobcat?
Right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's
But they're,
no small.
These are kids. Kids.
Oh,
let's get some more details on what I want.
I'm not really sure what age they are.
covers.
That's true.
Right.
You also got Cornwall Group, Becca.
Okay, I wrote those in there to ask. I emailed, but I did not hear anything from those
Okay.
guys. So,
Is that Becca Cotis?
what's that?
Is that Becca Cotis?
Yes.
Okay.
Because Becca and Greg and Aiden, and then Aiden's brother. I know Becca has played with They Might Be Gypsies before, and they're really great together.
is there a youth orchestra at the school?
Yeah. I think it's probably going to be difficult to get youths
Yes,
in that
Definitely.
capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's easier to get one person or two people.
Yes.
I thought about Mark Harmonica. What do you think? Librarian's husband, Mark, the blues man and balladeer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't pull his
Blind Lemon Mark?
Talk to Beck again and talk to, yeah.
Oh, Mark,
We've got
I
a ton of musicians here in town, so
Yeah,
we've
I
got to be
mean,
able to find a couple that will come out and
yeah.
play.
I asked Lasan, she's gonna be out of town. Rick Savalas is gonna be out of town.
Okay. Goosecoffs?
Goosecoffs, yeah, right.
David and,
David and Nate.
Or Will or Nate? No, Nate.
Either one. They all play together
They
too.
do? Oh, okay. The trio. Let's get the trio out.
Right.
Those guys are great.
What's that?
Those guys are really good.
Oh, they are
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're right. Yeah. Just talk
They, you
to-
know, they are.
Talk to Ann. Get Ann to make him volunteer.
Right.
Scenic route.
Yeah.
Anything else at this huge expo?
Gollum.
Growing Expo.
Growing expo.
Yeah.
What?
The weather.
The weather.
Yeah, weather, right.
I don't know, you got some common, but did anybody reach out to like Bristol Electronics? Or,
Yeah, right. What about that?
We could.
Because they've got a little solar
They have quite a
gazebo
setup.
that
They have-
they've got set up now and stuff. It's pretty cool.
I could do that if you want.
Okay.
Maybe they'd want to make some sales.
They also have been starting to sell heat pumps, I believe.
Yes.
So
All right. I'll add it to our list and put your
I
name
don't
in
put
there.
on. Yeah, great. Thanks for inputting things.
Sure.
I tend to put it all on paper, as you can see. and then I'm done. And it doesn't really work very well. All right. So, what about, I saw a bunch of things about tables and chairs on there.
Yep.
Is that for this, and is that something that's like organized?
Correct.
Oh, that's so great, Ian.
Yeah.
They're gonna show
can,
up there?
We can take from upstairs, or even
Okay.
across the street.
All right.
Or we can take them from Carrawell's garage.
Okay, this is closer if we can.
Yeah,
if can
we got
get
plenty
there.
up there. We can work with Meredith on that. She's not going to be around that weekend, but Alex will, and possibly Taylor, the new hub director.
Okay.
So we'll have a good force. From
So
that.
we'll be able to at least get in there and get those.
Yes.
Great.
Yep. All good. And then I'll do signage in terms of posters and stuff. I can also, I'm happy to do marketing, get a Facebook event,
Thank
and
you.
as well as do the Front Porch Forum. What I will need is a write-up for that. Some sort of
Okay,
text
something is, okay,
explaining what this is.
yeah.
So if somebody can
Right,
work on that,
I'll work on
that would be great.
And maybe I'll run it by you guys to see.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we do the meeting laws if you start doing too much, so maybe it's just one or two people I send it to, so it's not.
Yeah, it's fine.
a whole-
Just checking for,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
Just to give details of what's going to be there. And then I was going to do, the tables and chairs. Trash cans, I don't think we'll need. We can probably use town ones, or do we get, I'll talk to Meredith, see what she has in terms of ones that they put out for larger events.
Yeah.
And
Those
then I
town
can
ones
do,
are kind of small, and they're
Yeah,
not movable.
I know.
Really.
So we might need something there, but they have big ones upstairs, so we can probably take across. And then I can do a little bit of photography and maybe some drone photography as well for the event. I think it starts to get nice and big on the green. Might be kind of fun.
All right.
So the town of Bristol has its own drone?
No, I do that.
All right, that looks good. I'm really psyched about it. So on to, here's a heavy one, the role of the Energy Committee.
We're on a roll.
So I think we mainly talked about how do we work on our connection with the other town government people, like select board, creating more of a pattern of how we connect. You know, that was one thing. How do we communicate?
I'm not aware of any communication between
Right,
this committee and the select board
Yeah, we don't have any.
at any level.
Right, we don't have any. So I think that is something we need to talk about because, you know, we should figure out how to do that, right?
Well, it seems to be project-based, so Ian went before the select board regarding the charging station.
Right.
So I think that they tend to be things like that. The town energy plan, though, envisions it as a two-way street.
Right.
And prior to an issue, the select board would alert us and ask for our input. And we haven't had that happen, so maybe we need an opportunity to talk with them about how to facilitate that. You know, that we're here to help.
Yeah,
They don't have all the expertise, we don't either necessarily,
right.
but we can do research.
But we can find
You
it.
know, yeah.
We could also, you could also look at their agendas and, sort of pay attention to what they're
I do, I
talking
get,
Yeah.
every week,
We
I
do.
read their agenda and I
Yeah,
go through
yeah.
it and I'm going, okay, well, I really don't think we have much to do with that.
Right, yeah, I see.
And
But I think
Ian
we
usually
need to-
attends them all the select board meetings, so
Yeah.
he's right there.
Yeah.
And,
And the other committees as
conservation,
well. So that
conservation planning,
Plan, conservation.
Yeah, all of them.
maybe even zoning. I mean, zoning, because we've talked about design, some of the things, well, that are on your logistics, your strategies. They talked about, working with zoning because of design, and efficiency and making sure we're,
Design review.
yeah, that kind of stuff.
all of that. I mean, yeah, I mean, there should be some interaction going on, unless you're not doing anything that's involving energy at this point.
What do you think about making a little list of things that we want to do, or some ways we want to have more communication? Should we
Well,
do
that's where I'm stuck. I don't know what they want.
Well, I
how
think
they
I think we
envision.
just want to find out how we can be more effectively connecting.
So part of it, as you said, is project-based. That's how it's gone in the past.
Yeah.
Energy committee works on a particular thing, needs permission to do something, goes before select board.
Yeah.
Select board hears about the project.
Yeah.
We could do,
Or is that fine?
well, I think you need both. I think you need to have, I mean, the ways that we found out about things that have affected the energy committee or things that we should have been involved with have literally been looking at agendas or attending the meetings. That's how, you know, some of these things we found out that we should have been involved from the very beginning and we weren't. So just being vigilant, attending meetings and looking at select board, and even if you're not attending meetings, just watching the videos afterwards and looking at the minutes, that already is super beneficial going forward. And since I attend the meetings and I plan on continuing to do that, I feel that we have a pretty good handle on things,
Yeah.
but that's already stuff that's on the agenda. So it's possible that stuff that would affect us is already on an agenda that we don't know about, haven't been involved with. So taking a step back from that, you would then need to engage the select board, as you just said, to sort of think about things in a different way and have the committees be involved in a project or a particular process before it goes before the select board where there's discussion on it, or especially if decisions are being made.
Yeah.
And that some of that could just be, you could do a monthly check-in. Valerie
Yeah.
does give the minutes and put it in the select board packets for each select board
Okay.
member. So if they choose to read the minutes, they can and find out what we're doing.
Okay.
I don't know how
Yeah.
many of the select board members do that, but
Right.
having one of us go, maybe not every month, but every 2 months or every quarter, to have one of us attend at a select board meeting, be put on the agenda and say, hey, here's what we're working on,
Update.
just wanted to update you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So I think that's a positive way forward, and I think that's fairly easy to do.
Yeah.
And my presenting on Monday for the electric vehicle, I think was well received. I had previously met with Michelle Hurley, who's on the select board, maybe about 6 months ago, in anticipation of having that presentation, and talked to her about it. So she was aware, and things had changed since we had last met, and she remembered that and asked questions about that. So just doing that was very helpful.
Yeah.
Was engaging a single select board member, just saying, hey, you might be a good point person. Ideally you'd have a point person from the select board, for the energy committee. They're starting to do that with other departments. They're not doing it for committees as yet. They're doing it for fire and police and things like that.
Yeah.
There's a liaison. Ideally, we'd like a liaison for our committee as well, and we
Right.
can work towards that.
Yeah.
That'd be a good idea.
So that's another idea. Liaison.
Yeah.
Great. So those are 3 projects, an update time sometime.
Yeah.
And a liaison. Those are great communication
Yeah.
avenues.
And some of those we have control over, especially if it's us going before and presenting something, or if it's us just giving updates. We have control over that. We can be working away on what we don't want to do, go and present.
Yeah.
If you have a liaison, you're sort of having to engage them to sort of maybe come to meetings, or I'm not sure what that relationship might
Yeah.
be. We also have the advantage that we're working on the enhanced energy plan with the planning commission.
Yeah.
And so the energy committee and the planning commission are
Yeah.
dovetailing nicely
Yeah.
with that, as well as with what the town plan changes might be.
Yeah.
So
That's
we are getting more involved.
So it's naturally happening with that.
Correct.
Which is good.
Which
That's
is,
great.
Which is just
That's really
it was
great.
good happenstance that we got that grant and that they wanted to
Yeah.
apply for that. And in terms of other commissions, we have, I asked Richard to be on this committee because he's also on the Conservation Commission, so we have a bit of crossover there. I'm
Yeah.
the director of Bristol Core, so we have crossover there.
That's
And on
great.
that board, we have the Planning Commission, Katie's on that, as well as Meredith, as well as Valerie. So,
That's great.
it's
That's really
all coming together.
good. Okay, so there are a lot of crossovers. So yeah, excellent.
We just have to use them.
Correct.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the fact that they're not talking to us, I don't think is a detriment. I think it's just, that's right. It's just that's how things have gone, and so it's partly involves us just being more involved with that and understanding that, and then
Yeah.
figuring out how to address that.
Well, and I think when we see an issue on the agenda that might be relevant to us,
Yeah.
it's incumbent on us to show up and
Yeah.
see what's going on.
Yeah.
And I hope with what happened with the Vermont Gas Project, that sort of hopefully will demonstrate the need for better communication
Yeah.
I would hope
with
so.
Yeah.
committees and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
But you never know. So it's
No.
keeping a watchful eye on
Yeah.
what's happening is always a good thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the kind of things where we want to really work together on, I think that's more like, well, even doing the town energy audit, we haven't really gone to talk to anyone at the select board about that. That seems like maybe we should talk to them about that.
We
Not
haven't
just
done
do it.
I haven't done that yet, only because it's sort of getting ducks in a row to present something.
Okay.
Generally, in terms of my experience, it would be if you're going to talk to them, it's either for an update, or you're presenting something that you want. It's an action you want to do.
Yeah.
And so, with the audit, a lot of that we can do behind the scenes in terms of getting information. I think we just needed a clearer picture. Like I want to go and say, like, we're going to do this work. The members of the Energy Committee who are qualified can do these things.
Yeah.
And so we have the details about the fuel and the electricity usages here. This is the plan that we want to do to tackle this building first. I think that's the kind of thing where they're like, okay, great, that sounds good. If we say like, oh, we're thinking about doing this, we're not sure how we're going to do it yet. Like just the same with the energy. I mean, step back. We could start that process, the town energy audits, by talking to a single select board member who might be interested in
Right.
that, saying, hey, this is what we're thinking about doing. And then when we go up in front of them, similar to the electric vehicle, that's when you're presenting the project and saying, hey, we'd like to go ahead and do this.
Yeah, you're gonna need a one-pager,
Yeah.
bullet points, and
Yeah.
this is what we're thinking,
Yeah, and we're still
That's
shaping
great.
the town
I think
energy audit.
Steve and Liston probably have a pretty good handle on what that might look like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Really,
Yeah.
right now, all we need is permission to gather the data.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. And what do we need to do to get that?
Ask Valerie.
I have that information.
You have it already.
Correct.
Okay, great.
I have data from the last year of our electricity usage, and I also have a spreadsheet of the fuel usage for each of the buildings in town.
Great.
One
Fabulous.
of the things.
You have a list of the buildings and their bills.
Correct.
Excellent.
And I also have the library, which isn't part of what the town is, even though it's a town building. They pay individually, but I actually have the GMP login information for that. And the library is actually pretty high in electricity usage, and I don't know,
Yeah, what do you
not sure
mean?
why that is. It might be they have in-floor heating, which might be resistance
Yeah.
in some way.
What's those aquariums?
Fish. So yes, I can talk to you about that. And I haven't mentioned it previously because I was still working on it to get a clear sort of package of data that I could give
Yeah.
to people.
Now, this is the only
That's great,
list I
Ian.
have.
Thanks for doing that.
When are you gonna give me this information?
Soon.
So
So that was a big piece we've been waiting for that.
Yeah.
So,
I haven't been hiding it. I just needed to collect it and get it organized to be
Okay,
able to
great.
present it.
So
Great.
the municipal energy survey was asking a whole series of questions on things that we haven't considered at all. Does the town use biodiesel in their vehicles? Is the town looking at investing in electric vehicles and things like that? Does the town have a zero idling policy?
Yeah, there were quite a few good questions.
Yeah.
I think that's some kind of a thing to
So maybe
come
I
to the
should-
select board with and just say, hey, we want to talk about this and find out what the energy committee can begin working on these things. We didn't know the answers to some of these. Do you think that's worth?
Well, let me
Ask me about
mine that out into
Yeah.
a list.
Okay.
And maybe we can
Yeah.
get permission just simply to go to the town garage and talk to Eric and so
Okay.
on, you know.
Okay.
I mean, I think
Do it
we
directly.
could do that outside. I think
Yeah,
talk to
that's-
Valerie about
Okay.
that.
That's
Yes.
behind,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mainly the select board is decision making.
Okay,
Something
final
where it's-
decisions,
like,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
larger decisions.
Okay, they don't really.
Or if
That
we
would-
wanted
that's
to
it.
implement a no
Correct.
idling policy,
Yes.
then we
Okay,
would
then
have
we
to
need
go
to
to
do
the
it.
select
Yeah,
board.
once we
Alright.
find out what we're doing and not doing,
Right.
then
That's
we
great.
could make recommendations, I think, but,
Okay.
okay, I'll do that,
Thank you.
anytime. So, well, let's put that under town energy audit.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that town energy audit
Sure.
also, so that is one of our first steps. I was gonna ask, what are our first steps? We've got the meter thing now,
Correct.
so great. So what would be the next step?
Pick a building.
Okay, perfect, let's do that now.
All right, I have a question about Holly Hall. There are several, not Holly, Howden.
Yeah.
There are several instances where it was mentioned that they did work on that building.
Yeah, I think Ted has done work on that.
He has.
And so what they do, and is that one that we really should be looking at? Or should we be
Should we go to the
looking at-
library where the costs are?
Should,
higher?
or, yeah, right. Or should we go to, or should we find a hog and see if we
Yeah,
can fix it?
I think.
I would say the hog might.
Let's go to the
What is your sense from the data so far?
Yeah.
Do you have any sense, or maybe that's the step next, is to
Yeah.
look at all the data
Right.
to zero in on it?
Dollars per square foot would be a good metric.
It's well, each of the buildings is a combination because it's multi-fuel. It's electricity, which can be a certain amount, but also propane or oil. I guess we'd have to look at that. That might be a good starting point, or just getting a brief history of the building and the work done. You know, this has probably been the newest renovation, I think, this space down here. Houghton has had the basement space renovated, and I don't know if that was at the same time or if that was earlier or after. I don't think it's had an extensive amount of redo upstairs. I was actually in the Historical Society this morning, or this afternoon, and there's not I don't know when that was renovated. I just was reading actually the history. It was in like 91 that it stopped being a school and then became the Historical Society area. And so I don't think there's been a tremendous amount of work done.
Yeah.
Houghton was the Holly was the biggest renovation. But maybe the first thing is combination. The uses of fuel, electricity, and just a brief history of the
Right,
building,
right.
especially renovations that have happened. That might be our first thing. And then from there, we determine.
Right.
Because same with the library too. Library has been renovated over the years as well.
Yeah.
And had new systems installed and handicap access, things like that.
Because we were thinking about Howden Hall.
Right.
I believe just because it was frightfully convenient, it's the right size, it's the right.
Correct.
You know, it's a nice
It doesn't
place to
have the modern technologies that this building has in terms of heating and air and things like that. So Howden is probably a very good candidate. It also they're looking at doing repainting, and I think it actually needs to have more work done. I think the windows don't look too good either. So Howden will probably be a good candidate, but we would need to do a good appraisal or a little information dump of each of the buildings anyway.
Yeah.
Where do you think we get that?
Probably, maybe Jen, since she's been here the longest. It's tough because we've had turnover of our administrator and our assistant, both who had knowledge going back a number of years. And so if you ask Valerie, it's just she has to ask somebody else because she just hasn't been here that long.
Yeah.
And I don't know where details. I mean, we could look at past minutes, I guess, from select board meetings in terms of when stuff was done, or maybe.
You know, Chuck
What's-
Lilas could go on
Yeah,
that.
that's what I
Yeah.
was gonna
Okay.
say.
That's good.
Because he's involved in the Historical
Yeah.
Society too.
Okay.
and he
Yeah.
does
He
so
may
much
know
of the
about this
work on
building,
the
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd be the good source.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Because something was done to Howden after the big renovation in this building.
Oh, what?
Oh,
Which is
okay.
probably maybe that was downstairs.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
All right.
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not that long ago.
So our to do is I'm going to put together the fuel usages, try to get that into a viewable form, and then we need to speak with Ted and speak with the town administration, maybe Jen or Sharon or Valerie, about getting a brief history of the renovation and the work.
And Ted Lattis.
And Ted.
So it would be good, maybe.
Valerie won't.
Right.
Yeah, Valerie's
Okay.
not gonna
She'll
know.
go look at papers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So maybe
think-
a sit down with Ted to discuss the
Yeah.
buildings in town.
And it might be good for someone who knows
I was gonna
Ward.
say, then I should probably do that.
That would
Okay.
be awesome.
Who should do it?
Because you know
Yeah,
what to
sure.
ask and you know what they're
Since you
saying.
guys do everything else,
That's
I don't
great.
do anything.
You do plenty.
Might as
But-
well
You
start
have a
here.
rapport with Ted too, so.
Yeah, that's great. I think that'd be a really great list and you'd be a good one to do
Yeah, I
that.
think I'd be the guy to talk to Ted.
Yeah. And you know what
I
he'd be
was
talking
just
about.
talking to him today, you know, we're in good terms.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's fine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he definitely has the history.
Yeah.
I'm good with
And he'll have done a lot of the work.
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
well.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's a good start. That's what we need to do is
We have
start
some
on the
history
audit
overlap.
project.
That's pleasant. So
Good.
we'll be good.
Okay,
So,
so
we
Ian's
move
gonna
on?
get fuel use.
Oh, you go.
Lista mentioned a simple cost per square foot. That might be good. Do we know, is there a way to get square footage or are we simply gonna have to measure it? I wonder if, where
It's gotta be
would that
sometime.
be?
I've
Someone's
seen
gotta
it.
have that.
I've seen it somewhere. There was-
Would the zoning folks have any of this information?
Well, we could ask Jen. I mean, she's the
Yeah.
starting point.
Okay, Jen
Maybe.
Myers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if there are any plans.
Building
from-
details, yeah.
If there are any plans from any of the recent remodels.
Do you want me
Set
to
of
do
plans
that?
would be
Is
nice.
there, is there an inventory of buildings? How many buildings are we talking about?
Well, I found,
This
Oh,
one, Holly Hall, Housing Hall, Library, rec, what's?
The hub?
Yeah, the hub.
I found this
The
list of
firehouse.
town-owned buildings and
Town garage.
lands.
That's great.
But, so there's most Bristol Falls
Right.
Cemetery.
Yeah, we don't own a tremendous amount of
Parcel.
buildings.
Yeah, not a lot of
The
utilities.
bandstand,
Yeah.
okay,
Low
so there's the
energy
fire
usage.
station. Well, we don't need to do
Yeah.
There's some, I think there's a lot of trouble with the town shed.
Howden
Yes, the
Hall.
garage,
That's
that's
gonna
one of
need
the
something.
projects that they're gonna be looking at.
Yeah,
It's something to do with the floor, I think, and,
Yeah.
as well as other things.
yeah.
That's
The
Like
what?
The floor is
basic.
sinking.
The town garage.
Garage.
Town
There are
garage?
two buildings over there, yeah.
And do we count the water tank as a building?
All right,
Well, other
Okay.
things,
So-
I'm just kind of,
who's actually doing that, you're gonna talk to
He's
Ted?
putting together the
Yeah.
Let me-
usage information. He's gonna send that to
Yeah.
me. I'm gonna get that, cross-reference it to a list of buildings, and then I'll talk to Ted.
Yeah.
Great,
And
I'll
then,
talk to Jen, since I need to go
Okay.
back and just
Great,
look
so
at, talk
Ian's
to
gonna
Sharon
get
or Jen
Okay.
about those fuel figures.
and then we'll pick a building for
Yeah,
the next meeting,
okay.
if not sooner.
great.
Because maybe something will pop up that makes the choice for us.
Yeah, that's
You
great.
never know.
Yeah, perfect.
okay,
Thank you all for that.
great.
Getting that going. So the next on here is the library reserve shelf. Did you get a chance to?
I did talk to Nancy, she says that's fine, we can
Great.
bring in whatever we want, and she'll make a space for us.
Okay, then I will donate the first book,
Okay.
Drawdown.
I lent her my kilowatt meter. She asked, someone called, says, hey, does the library have a kilowatt meter? Which is like the one you plug in and you can
Yeah.
read instantly
Yeah.
what you're using or what it's plugged into. And I said, I actually have one, so I brought it to her and I gave it to her
Okay, good.
to lend out. So that could be part of that as well.
Okay.
That's great.
I can bring some stuff.
Yeah.
What about one of the biggest issues is refrigeration and
Yes.
old refrigerators in particular. When I worked with CVPS, we had these meters you could plug your refrigerator into
That's what that is,
for a few days.
That's what
Yeah,
he's
kilowatt,
talking
yeah.
about. Kilowatt.
And I mean, 'cause those are low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Right.
If we could get people to
Yeah, and there
check
are-
their refrigerator.
Right.
There are
Yeah.
rebates to They'll give you what?
And to be able to
So
just.
we have one?
Yeah, I have one, it's just my personal one, but we could get maybe more.
I've got 3 of them.
Oh, wow.
You know, that device
Oh, that's right.
demonstration
Yeah.
device. I have a thing I made that has 3 of them with a incandescent CFL
Oh, yeah.
and LED.
Yeah.
That's a nice display though, we don't want to cannibalize that.
Yeah,
And that,
But we could get more, they're fairly inexpensive,
Yeah, they're
so
not
we could
bad.
maybe
yeah.
look at getting
That
more
would
for the
be
library.
really handy to have people be able to go there and check it out,
Yeah.
just for a night or whatever it takes. And
For a
then-
refrigerator, you ought to leave it on for several hours.
Or
Yeah,
a
right.
few days would
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
good.
Like a
Days,
rest-
Sure.
A
yeah.
few days is good.
Because
Yeah.
you want to make sure you pick up the defrost cycle.
Right.
so you know, one of the things in the drawdown book of 100 things, refrigeration is number 1.
I know.
That's
That's
what
why he's saying, yeah,
I
totally.
just got that book the other day.
Yeah.
It's awesome, isn't
It
it?
is quite a book, yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
What I wonder about, would Efficiency Vermont has specific information regarding refrigeration
Right,
Oh, yeah.
and so on, so maybe we should put that in the library with the kilowatt.
Okay,
So I'll get some of that.
okay. And we can bring in the leftover materials that we have from
I was gonna
Butler.
say, I have a box of
Yeah.
those, so maybe I better check and see what I've got.
I don't want to put together a junk pile, but I think some.
Right.
Just a few
strategic
things,
stuff.
yeah, we can always
Yeah.
switch
And I
out.
don't know where it's gonna be, but I can talk to her.
We might need some
Out in
holders
the
for things.
building in the back.
Right. Out in the shed.
And then we'll, once we get it set up, put a front porch forum thing out to let people know what's
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
Great, so, excellent on the library reserve shelf. Now, button-up weatherization, we talked a little bit about that. On the button-up sheet, there are, the latest one that came out says there's a lot of no response from them, and that's because I didn't input my responses in the spreadsheet, but I only had 7 responses. People, called back from my emails or phone calls, but they were all positive. They were psyched about getting more information. If anyone hears from anyone, I said I'm mainly the person who people will be hearing from, but if anyone else hears from anyone, feel free to let me know if people have any questions or anything like that, or, just so we can make sure everyone is taken care of about, what
Is there
is
anything
going
else
on.
that we need to be doing for that? Like, you've made a bunch of calls and emails.
Yeah.
Is our responsibility any more than that?
Uh,
I mean, we're getting the updates and we know that the silver maple sort of changed.
yeah, this is the whole thing, it's the spreadsheet from the latest one I got. And,
Wow.
I asked to have it printed. I thought it was going to come on one sheet, and this is what I got.
Well, it's one sheet.
It's a lot of sheets.
Did somebody paste that together?
Yeah.
I just put
Oh,
it
okay.
together. But,
Wow.
Kimball's gave me 6 sheets. I'm like, okay, I'll get the tape out.
Yeah.
And then I
Cut and
put
paste.
lines, colored things to make it easier to see what's on what line. But a lot of them are saying will likely move ahead with work, but knows that Silver Maple is unavailable, has not responded since proposal, will transfer work as necessary, different things like that.
I think once you've made the contact and they've given you an answer,
Yeah.
you're pretty
Or
much done.
they haven't given an answer. Even
Right.
if they haven't, once you've contacted, I guess we're done. Yeah, with that kind of stuff.
I think you just wait and see what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you
And people know how to-
called, right, and talked to
I
them,
either called
right?
or emailed, and
Okay.
people I called didn't necessarily call back. People I emailed, some of them did email
Okay.
back. And I guess if they didn't, I don't want to bother them, but I can look through and just make sure there aren't a few. There are more that have had proposals, so I actually will go through and make sure I've contacted all those. Because there actually are, ones I haven't, because I just got this like yesterday or the day before. And so,
Okay, so I'm gonna say our role in the 2018 program is winding down.
yeah.
And now we have to start thinking about the 2019. One of the things we did, Steve, was we used the Harvest Festival as a coming out and actually handed people invitations
Oh,
and talked to people. And then we had some giveaways.
Shop lights.
Kind of, yeah, we had the LED shop lights.
really?
Yeah,
Wow.
25 of them.
Wow.
So
I got the first
sorry I
one.
missed it.
got 'em, yeah. But I think that format of coming out at the Harvest Festival really worked
Has
pretty
raised
well. And
visibility of.
yeah.
Yeah, good.
yeah, we had a tent. We literally grabbed people off of the path and dragged them in.
Richard was great at that. Not a
Yeah,
person passed
you did
our
a
table
fine
without
job.
being
Yeah.
accosted.
I was
Wow.
impressed.
Yeah. It
Well,
was-
you know, people kind of go like this, and if you don't
Yeah.
actively engage them,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
you know, obviously you don't, if they're
You
shying
did
away.
a
don't tackle.
really nice
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, you did a really good job. I was impressed very much and learned a lot from you that day.
Uh-oh.
So, yeah, we're good there. On to electric vehicle supply.
Excuse me, could we
Oh, yeah.
talk about the weatherization legislation?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
The bill that we drafted and gave to Marie Cordes, she introduced as H353. It wasn't picked up by any committee, but it's crazy how it all worked, but the Ways and Means Committee in the House did approve a 2-cent increase in the fuel fee, and that passed the House,
Yeah,
but not with enough votes to override the governor's
Right.
veto.
Right.
The governor has at least signaled he will veto it. Senator Bray is really focused on weatherization. He's held
Yeah.
numerous hearings. In fact, even today and tomorrow, additional hearings on weatherization. But the problem seems to be that, and this is, in the land of Bernie Sanders, we have lots of people who just are naysayers about anything progressive, let's face it. And what they're saying is, oh, it's so unfair to low-income families to be charging them. Well, gasoline prices have jumped 30 cents a gallon, and I haven't seen any demonstrations in front of the gas stations. So
Right.
it's all a bunch of hype. And what it's built around is that fee to these people is a carbon tax.
Right.
So I did the math, and carbon taxes nationally and at state levels usually start with $100 per ton tax on carbon emissions. Some as high as $500. This 2-cent increase is $1.50 per ton carbon tax.
Yeah, it's
So
hard to,
it's a lot of hooey.
yeah.
So the legislation in the Senate is really in trouble.
Yes.
The Ethan Allen Institute and others are saying, oh, we've got to find a better way to do this. We can't tax these low-income people. So I've talked with Fred Baser, and I suggested that because Fred has still an open promise to deliver a letter to the governor, that we write a letter to the governor, applauding him for his great new focus on electric vehicles, but saying, look, if the 2-cent increase comes to your desk, sign it, but send a strong message to the House and Senate. If you've got a better way to do this than the 2-cent fee, I want to see that on paper, a bipartisan proposal that we'll introduce in the second session. And deliver that to the governor. It's a way out for the governor, who really cares about this issue, but, well, it's a carbon tax. Well, call it a tithe, for God's sakes. So I've just about finished drafting the letter, and I'll send it around to each of you probably within the next day or two. Talk with Fred, and Fred will schedule a meeting with the governor. The governor
Right.
will see Fred. And I think we'll give the governor a way out, but also put the onus on these naysayers. If you've got a better proposal, bring it in the next session. But it has to be a bipartisan bill because it wouldn't pass
Yeah.
the House or Senate if it wasn't bipartisan.
So are you talking about H439, the,
Yes.
yeah, home weatherization assistance? Yeah.
So it's hanging on by a thread, but let's say that the governor will veto it unless he's given a reason not to.
If it gets out of the Senate.
I'm sorry?
If it gets out of the Senate.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, it's been through the House, so
Yeah.
the Senate has to.
Thumbs up from the House.
Probably.
The House can hang tough too, and I've actually talked with Chairwoman Ansel. You know, in conference, you don't have to give in to the Senate on this. You can hold firm and make a political issue of it. 2 cents, my God.
$15 a year for the
Right.
average.
You can't buy one of these beer, 6-pack
I know,
of beer
right.
for $15.
Just keep buying a couple of copies, you know,
Yeah.
or something,
Yeah. So that's my
just to,
Right.
yeah.
weatherization spiel.
Well, it's hard.
Thank you.
It's also hard to, in my mind, when I see the $60,000, $70,000 pickup trucks being driven around with their gargantuan engines.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
people are, a 2 cent a gallon tax is,
Yeah.
you know, on heating fuel. What they say it was average $15 a person, a household.
Yeah.
For,
You know, come on.
for a year. I know, and that would actually help low-income people. That's the whole
Although, you
deal.
know, and what they're saying is, well, only a few hundred a year.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
you know, I mean, there's,
right.
you know, some,
How did it turn into, so your original proposal in your bill, you were raising far more, but it was still a 2 cent. What changed?
It was all fuels, gasoline.
Oh, that's right.
Gasoline and
Right.
And diesel fuel for big trucks and
Right.
tractors.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they dropped that in committee.
Right, because of farmers and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, thanks for staying on that, and I look forward to seeing the letter.
Good, okay.
so
It's
just,
almost finished.
just in terms of meeting laws and so on, how do we
Right.
handle that?
Right, maybe
Um,
it just needs to go to a couple people or something like that.
Well, we could do, I make a motion that John writes the letter
Okay,
and sends it to us for review and then sends it on to
Fred?
Fred.
Yeah, because we're just, you know, proofreading.
Yeah.
Okay, we just
So I make a
proofread
motion
and
to
send
do
it
that.
back to him, we don't discuss it among ourselves, it just goes.
Yeah, well, I guess if we could edit it, but I guess the motion could be to have John draft the letter and send it to Fred on behalf of the Energy Committee.
Yeah,
We need a second
okay.
for that.
I think that's a,
I'll second that.
Okay. And then discussion.
I think we've had discussion.
Okay. And so all those in favor, say
Aye.
aye.
Yeah,
All those against?
She's the chair.
Oh, sorry.
He was the chair too, just recently, that's what's going
You
on.
might be able to.
And I'm so used to you doing it, I'm just like, great. I basically,
Usurper.
I think we're good.
no, I
think
like
that's
what he's doing, I just keep us moving along. My job is to keep us moving down the lane, and his is to say the right things.
Hopefully. Okay. Electric vehicle.
Yes,
This is what I presented to the select board on Monday. And essentially it was a little presentation. Energy Committee wishes to apply for round 2 of the Vermont Department of Housing and Community Development's electric vehicle supply program. We all know the program was created to put in more infrastructure of electric vehicle charging stations. They have 400,000 for this second round, and this is to. This
Yeah,
is to.
I'm gonna
give it,
shut
show
up.
it,
I
yeah.
know.
Show it to her, we can't really read
I'm
it from
kind
here
of
anyway.
tethered, but
I know.
just, it's mostly, I'm.
Yeah,
Give it a good
Here,
flash
like
to
this.
Mary so she can get it.
you can edit it in.
No, I don't do editing when I do this, it's one shot.
You're reading it to us anyway, so you could
That's
flash
correct.
it to her.
That's true.
Yeah, turn it to her and.
That's just.
There you
it's
go.
just that.
Let me just get a quick shot.
Yeah,
That's
oh,
just
yeah.
that.
So besides, we've heard this a lot
Okay.
in the last
Yeah,
year.
that is more
Every now
details.
and then just turn it around.
So I said that as a designated downtown, Town of Bristol is a strong candidate for the grant program. We're in a unique position as a hub of 5 surrounding towns that have no electric vehicle charging infrastructure. Closest would be Middlebury to us. And we're recommending a level 2 electric vehicle charging station, publicly available at all times on the town green to ensure highest levels of accessibility. So project details, the equipment recommended by the contractor is a charge point unit. It's a dual bollard mount station, dual port, sorry. So it'll serve 2 spaces. It'll click in with 2 connectors for each of the cars. You mount it in concrete, and it slides in and sort of sits there. And then there'll be 2, as you can see from my mock-up, 2 protective bollards. That's what's also recommended by the contractor to go in to protect it from people backing into it. The station is to be sited adjacent to the town green along West Street, opposite the town bandstand, in 2 dedicated spaces. Initially, when we talked about the project over the last few months,
We know that.
the position was, the audience might know, the position was going to be over by the Peace Garden. In the last month, I walked with Valerie and talked about the location, and we felt that this location might be better. There is an issue at the end there where those parking spaces might be used more when the church is in session, when things are happening. You also have a drain right there in one of the parking spaces, and you also have a large tree right there. So we decided to move it up and put it sort of right in front of the bandstand, which I wasn't too excited about just visually, but we already have a very large pole, and this is actually a new pole that just got put in. I actually removed a pole that's still sitting there that I'm hoping they're going to take out. So, one, it's closer to downtown, which I think is a better, a better thing for the grant, probably, in terms of us getting it. You already have the pole here, so running power, you don't have to trench all the way down to that other location. You also then, you have, essentially there are 40 spaces along West Street. So you leave 38. And so there's plenty of spaces, and the middle really isn't used as much. When you have something in Holly Hall, all of the spaces are used, and I think we have the option, we could actually cover the dedicated space signs. I think we need to talk to the state about that, but I think you can do that for situations where you might want to use it for a larger event. So there we are with that. Total project cost is $18,993. The electric vehicle grant will cover $17,093 of this. Our 10% in-kind match required is $1,900, and that $1,900 can be in kind. So it can be work that we do, administration work, excavating work that the town won't necessarily have to pay for, but will give invoices for it in terms of that dollar amount. So that's our match. There is...
What is our match? What's the amount?
$1,900.
Okay.
So initially I was working with Bristol Electronics to do get the quote. Unfortunately it took a while because they're pretty busy, and I had to move to another contractor because I wasn't able to get what I needed from Bristol Electronics. So I talked to, I got the Starksboro application that they did last round. It didn't get, and that had Cummings Electric on it. That's who did the quote, full breakdown of everything. And then I talked to Planning Commission Chair at Warren, who also applied for a last round, and they did get it. They actually have 2 locations, and they also use Cummings Electric. And he said, they're based in Burlington, he said that he called all 5 or 6 of the vendors that recommended in the grant, and all but 2 returned his call. No, the other way around. 2 returned his call out of the 5 or 6, and he said Cummings came out like the next day and did it and gave all the details, and he was very pleased with them. So I talked to them. I received the same kind of service. They gave me the quote broken down into all the different parts. So I think that would be, and I think we have a choice.
He's a good egg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Glenn. And so they provided all the details, and they've done this a lot, and they put it in.
That's great.
And there's no Agency of Natural Resources permitting required. I had to send that to the guy down in Rutland, and he sent it back saying, looks fine. The only thing you have to do is just licensed electrician and then the fire and safety, which I put a call in for that. And then I'm going to talk to Chris, our zoning administrator, on Friday with regard to the town permitting. Do we need to do anything because we're in the downtown district? I don't think so in terms of the design review district, but we just want to check. And then the fee and rate structure, this was based on the two proposals that I looked at, and from Cummings, they recommended $1 an hour charging. Kilowatt price is currently 17 cents. I don't know if the remainder of that money goes directly to the town, or if there are other things that get pulled out of that for other reasons. I need to find that out. If they do go directly to the town, at least cover costs. We're not going to be making a huge amount of money, but at least it covers our costs. And that in this quote, it's like 5-year plans for the equipment. That's all included in the cost. Gasoline equivalent is $1.52 at the dollar an hour rate. So there's our location right in the middle of West Street, and this is what's going to go in the grant application, explaining town green, shopping district, how close, main travel route right here. Other photos here, 2 dedicated spaces, and then these are the mock-ups I did using the equipment, and then the bollards, and then the signs.
Impressive.
Great job.
Very nice.
And then, yeah, that 2 spaces, in-kind match. EV ownership is still pretty low, but it's going to get larger. And then talking how does it help Bristol, this is talking about sets examples for residents and visitors, importance of adapting new technologies, also aligns with currently in progress enhanced energy plan that works towards targets set by the state of Vermont to be 90% renewable by 2050. Thank you. And it got approved.
Great.
So we're approved.
Nice job.
We're approved to...
Nice work.
Well done.
We're approved through the select board.
Correct.
And-
We're approved to apply for the grant.
Okay, great. And it's on schedule to go in and everything?
Correct.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So I think in the minutes, I'm going to say the committee express thanks to Ian for a very professional job.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
great.
Good.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Excellent, Ian.
So that's looking good. So I'll continue to work on that, and I'll get it in before our date. Talk to Chris on Friday, and then put together a packet. And then Katie Rickroff-Meyer, she also was at the meeting on Monday, and she talked about the enhanced energy plan, why it's a good thing for town to do that, and why it's positive, especially in terms of the enhanced energy plan. It's the town demonstrating
Yeah.
the involvement at higher levels of renewable energy.
Yeah.
And she also, afterwards, she emailed me and recommended I talk to someone at the Regional Planning Commission where she works, who had worked with towns on other EV grants, just so he can look through our grant application, see if he can find out anything
That's
else
great.
to help us possibly get it.
Excellent.
So,
Thank you
Great.
so
Yeah.
much for doing that.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
We're on in
That's
third
a lot of
base.
work.
Very impressive.
so there we go.
Yeah,
I'm glad it's actually going to go in this time.
Yeah, me too.
We talked a little about student involvement already.
I have an addition to that.
Okay.
So the student involvement is part of the Bristol Core initiative, which is the youth empowerment or youth engagement program. And so I'm starting to circle back to that. And one of the ways I'm doing that is talking with Bob Russell at Mount Abe through Jerry Hughes.
Oh, good.
And just sort of talking to them. I'm going to meet with them in a couple weeks when I finish the electric vehicle stuff, just to talk about student engagement on a whole in the town, both for core and for committees and for anything else. So I can also sort of work on that at the same time and figure out how we want to, get a liaison.
Why don't you do it in terms of at least the Conservation Commission and the Energy Committee?
Okay.
Because I think that'd be ideal
Okay.
Yeah.
to have student involvement in those committees, and that might be.
I think we can find
window in.
students.
Yeah, oh, I do
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, the programs that I've looked at, other examples, Shelburne had one, and they would be upper and lower classmen, so they could learn from each other. 2 would be placed on committees,
Great.
just in terms of having someone there, their peers.
Yeah.
They would get the full ability to look at all the projects that were happening with the particular committee. If they were of age, they could have voting rights. Usually they didn't because they're underage. And then oftentimes they were so successful that they were asked back when they graduated to be on the committee. And sometimes people did come back, and a lot of them actually got very positive experience. It made them sort of think differently about their future and where they might want to go. And one of the examples that the person from Shelburne gave was that you had a student who was thinking about going to a much larger city to go to college, but actually because they served on the committee, I think it was planning commission, they sort of looked at it differently and chose like a smaller college and town to be more involved at that level. So I think it was positive for the committees themselves, positive for the students. It was just like you said, you need that champion that can do that. And so we sort of have to figure it out. And maybe that's someone, I know that I've talked to a couple of people who are interested in sort of working with me on that through Bristol Core, but that could be the group that does that.
If you want,
and then
if you want help with it,
okay.
I'd love to be part of
I mean, it's hard enough to get adults on the committees, and maybe that's a way to shame adults to be on the committees when we're like, well, look, we got 4 students.
Kids.
Yeah, exactly. We're dying to be on these things.
Well, going back to Steve talking about being really impressed with Greta Thunberg. I think the kids are much more articulate.
And timing it's a great time to engage them right now with what Greta's done recently and getting people's attention. It's like, okay, high school kid can do this.
That coffee, alternative energy coffee hour, the kids I talked to 5, and 3 of them were absolutely on an adult level of comprehension. And one of them said to me, I don't know why adults don't get this stuff.
Awesome. Right. And
You're hired.
Part of continuing that, at least what I thought there, was that you need, at that level, that age, it's a little bit different than high school. But at that age, you need like a tangible project that they can like physically see and put their hands on.
Right.
And that could be something like solar. Like solar should be on the elementary school. Like that would be a great project to do. And then you have a meter, you have a screen that's displaying all the detail from that project. And it continues over years. You continue to see that and see how it's growing. So
becomes part of the classroom.
The program that they did on stormwater runoff up at CVAU was completely integrated into the curriculum.
So great.
Is there any solar at the school?
No.
At either school?
But someone's thinking about looking into it. We just talked to someone who was thinking about it for Bristol Elementary. I forgot who was doing it.
I mean, for teaching as much as anything. Really.
And then something where you said like if you don't have the buy-in, it's difficult, but it might be something that we as an energy committee can drive and start to put in place. And then that's the thing, like, oh, this it's outside of what is happening at the school. It's the town doing this or the energy committee doing this, but then you start to involve when you see, oh, it's this actual thing. It's too much to like, hey, we need you to put solar on your roof. That's a project you can work on. But if we do everything, we get grant money, we get this and that, and it becomes a project that starts to be implemented, then that's where you can start, working with this teachers to then, okay, look, you can use this in these interesting ways because this project's already happening.
Yeah.
Right.
It's great. That brings us to performance contracting.
I guess we've kind of discussed that too. I mean, is that?
Yeah, that was the letter that I needed to send, that I haven't sent yet, but I'm going to send. Or did I send that?
I don't know if you did or not. I don't know.
Yeah, that was sort of that was similar to the school, the idea of the energy committee supporting the performance contracting model for Mount Abe.
And we don't, I mean, whatever, it doesn't have to be happening right now because they don't want to be bothered with it right now. But at some point,
it's something that needs to be continually put on their radar though as an option, no matter what direction they want to go.
Yeah.
Like that should be the starting point.
Yeah. Great.
That's going to be another one of those things that sits on all our agendas forever.
Yeah, I know.
I think we start with the students.
Yeah, I think so.
So let's see, these minutes were extensive last time.
Yeah, they were good.
Yeah, they were,
Yeah, good-
yeah,
good
there-
work.
a lot happened.
Yeah, good work.
Um,
Yeah, they,
See if we missed anything. But has everyone looked at them, and now we're getting to the point of approving them? Has everyone looked at them now?
Good work.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve the previous meeting's minutes.
I second that.
Great.
I,
Oh yeah, I'm supposed to say that right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Yeah, I'm so not in the practice of that, it doesn't even occur to me to do that. I'm learning.
Well, I
Or
never,
maybe you don't just do that.
I never did that either, and then now I'm actually thinking about it.
That's great.
So we have our. Do you want to talk about anything in terms of next month, a month from now?
Yeah, well, you know, we could look at the strategies there and see if there's anything we want to pull out of that, but not get overwhelmed by it.
Right. I mean, not that we have a lot. I mean, some of these we can knock off our list for next month. We're gonna have our Green Up Day Expo in between then. Do you know when we're doing the joint with the Starksboro Energy Committee?
So we were scheduled for next month, but
Okay.
I said it doesn't make sense to do it at this meeting because we don't
Okay.
get our stuff done.
Yeah.
I think we need to do it
Should be a separate
another
meeting.
time. It has to be
Okay.
separate. So I told Richard Fazy that. I haven't heard back from him. I just asked, hey, we can't do it at the same time. We just have too much going on. But
Do we-
can you suggest a date that works for you
Okay,
guys?
so we'll put it in his court.
Yeah,
Okay.
I put it in his court.
Okay.
It's in his court, so.
so let's see.
maybe that should be done again, because he might be thinking that it's still in our court or something.
I think I was pretty clear, and,
I think
Well, we
I
haven't heard back
recall
follow-up.
reading that
It's been a
email. I
week.
think you
Yeah.
were pretty clear.
but.
That's irrelevant.
Right, if I explain it again. Yeah, okay. What is our thinking about it? What do we have time in our schedule for another joint meeting? Do we want to do a joint meeting at this time?
I don't know. I liked it. I think it's good to know what other towns are doing.
Yeah, I
And they have a lot of good, interesting people on their committee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
When,
think,
what month did we do it? I don't remember. Was that February?
yeah.
Okay. So May would be maybe a good time.
Yeah, maybe
For a
May.
quarter.
see if we can do one in May. All
Well,
right.
one of the issues that Richard is really focused on, and the Starksboro Committee as well, is building energy standards and revamping that. And that's actually legislation that he helped draft.
Yeah,
There may be at least a conversation how we can submit letters and whatever to,
right, how to help
Okay.
them.
Yeah, we need to help with that,
yeah.
with that kind of stuff.
Right.
With the energy
so,
standards, the codes, code compliance, efficiency ordinances. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so that would be good to talk together and work together on that. I think Maggie Eaton might be interested from New Haven too. She's trying to get an energy committee going in New Haven,
Oh, and then,
and so she'd probably love to have some support with energy committees.
yeah, invite her.
All right, so do you have anyone, any particular time? Our meeting is going to be,
May 15th.
yeah. So should we do it after that or before that, you think?
When did they have their meeting? Do you remember?
Was that a Monday or something?
It's
It
a
was early,
Monday,
yeah.
I think it's the 5th.
Let's see, that was in February, was it? Did you say?
What
We had
was-
ours on February, we had our joint one with them on February.
It is May
It's
5. Is that Monday?
6. Monday is May 6th. Or May
I'd
6th.
suggest that.
Okay, May 6th?
So we'll join their meeting?
No, a separate meeting, not their meeting.
Yeah, I don't wanna
'cause they
hear
have
all of
Oh,
their
okay,
stuff
sorry.
either.
So if they meet on Monday, so we don't want to do
Yeah,
that then.
let's
So
not.
ours is on the 15th.
Well, to May 8th.
Okay.
I have a singing thing that night, a rehearsal.
Okay. 22nd?
That's doable
Yeah.
for me. I don't know how you guys are.
I'm good. I think. Pretty sure.
And that would probably be, we'll ask them if they want it in Starksboro or here,
Yeah,
either way.
they came here last time,
Yeah.
to the library.
Yeah.
We could go there if we wanted to. What's their space like?
They
Like
were the
this.
town hall, it was
Like this.
kind of like this,
Okay. And would we do a food
or
thing,
maybe it was a library.
like we did last time?
Um,
They usually did food, right? Because they did it as part of, they did our joint and then they did a little bit of time for their meeting afterwards.
Yeah.
Right,
Probably do food again,
yeah.
that'd be nice.
I mean, people could bring their own dinner, or they could jump in on
Right.
whatever, you know,
Okay.
sometimes they buy pizza up there.
Right.
And here, I think I just made some soup or something, whatever,
Yeah.
I
Made
made,
some-
whatever I
You
made.
need something tasty.
Yeah.
It was good,
It was
whatever
really
it was.
good.
Do you, is there a particular time? They usually meet earlier.
Yeah, they are
Do-
early
Do we
birds.
want to,
5:30, I think.
yeah.
They,
do we
and then
want-
they do it as long, though, I mean, longer. It's
Yeah.
like 5:30 to 8:30.
So do we want to do it 7 then, just suggest that for us, since
Right.
that's when we normally meet?
So then maybe we don't do the food, people eat ahead of
Right,
time.
yeah.
Joint meeting 7, we
So
come.
this is to be determined. So you'll suggest this to Richard?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll write on this sheet too.
Would you all excuse me, I've got to.
Yeah, let's
Or-
go here.
We're gonna,
I move we adjourn.
Second. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, aye. Sorry.
Released.
Sorry.